Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Laces Out podcast, and we've got guests. That's right, another opportunity for the guest to get a point when I apparently can't do that, and take down the mighty juggernaut that is the co-host. If you're checking us out, if you're listening along, if you're watching, then maybe you could like, share, comment and subscribe. Pretty sure that's how it works, isn't it? If you could, it would be amazing. It would be a big help to us, and we would love you forever for it. Right, here we go. This is CookieCast, the Laces Out podcast.
Recording in progress.
When she's right, she's right. NFL football, the Laces Out podcast. I am here. My co-host, and by that I mean the host, is here to tell us how many points he got out of the predictions this week. And, well, we've actually managed to get a guest this week. And what I mean when I say that is, this week's guest went, pretty sure I'm supposed to be on the NFL podcast this week. I'll see you there. It's like, yep, cheers for that. So, for you listeners out there in the world, Matthew Moore is this week's guest from up-and-coming podcast, The Pursuit of Hoppiness. I was trying to work out, I was like, bi-annually, every few... There's some weeks, not every couple of months, but yeah.
When we can be bothered.
When it's time. Kind of like,
yes. When we're not wrestling or footy in or NFL in or kind of thing, we can slip a cheeky little kind of discussion of beers in.
When we need to take a break from all that and have a drink, we do a beer podcast. But this is not beer. No. He says, drinking a beer. This is NFL football. And speaking of drinking, get your shot glasses ready, because let's face it, ladies and gents, the season is pretty much over at this point in time. And you know why I know that? There's only 1 week of regular fantasy football. I might have to take myself away and have a little cry, because that can only mean it's the downhill slide, it's the back end of the year, it's the slide to the Super Bowl, and then what some call the biggest sporting event in the world takes 9 months off. Anyway, now that I've got my bitter and twisted nature out, we can talk real things, like, I don't know, what happened last week. Paul, how many points did you get? I mean, obviously all of them, I imagine.
Well, it'd be rude of me not to take some points from the week, wouldn't it? But
I mean, feel free not to.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it pans out.
Okay.
So week 13 in the NFL brought around 14 more games. I can't for the life of me think who was on bye apart from the Cleveland Browns.
Was it the Panthers?
Browns and Panthers was definitely 2. Packers.
Yes.
And were the other team that was on the bye this week. So, just 14 games to pick from. In no particular order, but actually a very specific order, with only 8 out of 14 picks correct. Coming in third place in in last week's predictions was the this man right here, Paul Williams, 8 out of 14 points, 3rd place. It's becoming an all too familiar pattern, and not enjoying this. 2nd with 9 out of 14 picks correct. Podcast host himself, Mr. Andrew Cook, ladies and gentlemen. He's absolutely devastated because he knows what it means. But yet, for the 2nd week in a row, taking home a point for the guest, it was the podcast stats mistress, Leanne Davies, with 10 out of 14 picks correct. Very well done, Leanne, getting another point on board for the guest. So, she was only let down by, I'll leave them till the end, the Las Vegas Raiders getting beaten by the Washington football team, the San Francisco 49ers getting beaten by the Seattle Seahawks, the Baltimore Ravens being beaten by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Kirk Cousin-led Minnesota Vikings losing to the 10-1 Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions, who have since acted like they won the Super Bowl. Because did you know they've won a game?
Did anyone see the clip of Jared Goff's girlfriend on a photo shoot being told that they'd won a game?
No.
It's quite funny because obviously, I think she must be a bikini model or something similar. She does like swimsuit modelling.
Okay.
And she was on the beach doing a shoot, and someone was obviously filming her response to being told that Jared Goff's just got a win, and you can see her getting shown the clip of him like running off to the sideline to celebrate with Dan Campbell, and she's like, "Oh my God, I feel like I could cry." It's so amazing. It's like yeah, that's fair enough. And yes, she's a very attractive young woman. So well worth a watch because it's actually quite funny. So yes, so what that does for the overall standings for the predictions is Andy still on 2 points. The guest has moved on to 4 points for the season, and I am still at the top with 7 points. Now obviously we're moving to week 14, so 5 points still left to play for. So at worst, I can only tie with Andy now, and he'd need to win all of them. Let's see what week 14. Let's see what week 14 will bring.
I don't think.
But before we move on to week 14, should we discuss a little bit more about week 13?
Yes, I would like to talk some fantasy football.
Would you now?
Because I did something that I do pretty much every season, which is I looked at where I was in our league table. I looked at how many games were left. I looked at what wins and losses would mean this week for certain positions, and said the phrase, if I was to win this week, that would really change things around. And obviously, saying that out loud allowed the football gods to go, sorry, what? You want to get absolutely smashed into the ground by a team who has had already 2 players play and is on 4 points? So be it. Oh, and by the way, while you're at it, why don't you also lose in your other league? Because you were absolutely nailed on to win that one as well. So, fuck you, fantasy gods. Fuck you very much. Paul, did you have a win this week?
I most certainly did have a win in fantasy this week, Anthony. And not only that,
Wow.
I have closed to within 12 points of being the top scorer in the league.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm only good enough for 6th place in a 12-team league.
This isn't anything against the man in any way, shape or form, but I was pleasantly surprised to see podcast alum Stuart Woodmansey up there in the upper echelons of the league table. Congratulations there. I don't know. I haven't looked since the games have completed to see what the table looks like because I was in mourning. Matt, did you have a fantasy football victory this week?
I did have a fantasy football win this week.
All sod off then.
The fantasy gods are teasing me this year because I'm on the precipice of the playoffs in 2 leagues that I'm in, and I require wins in both of those leagues on the final day of the final matchup of the season, and I know that it's going to kick me squarely in the nuts, and I'll be stuck in the consolation brackets for the next few weeks, looking miserable as my team scores many points that are completely irrelevant, and I don't give a shit about.
I am joint dead last in my other league. That's fun. In our league, I daren't look. I think I made the mistake of being like, ooh, hope.
The mighty JFG is romping away, and the Woodmansey and somebody else are on 8 and 5. I think I don't know who that was.
It was Sir Philip of Walls. Last I checked, but yes, we won't talk about the JFG enjoying those James Conner points at all. So that's the fantasy taken care of. I believe, Matt, you are my opponent this week.
We are, you are.
So there's another win for you. Get you nice and that bit closer to the playoffs. Look at it that way.
I was going to come on bended knee and beg that maybe leave a player out or something like that.
Look at it this way. I'm pretty sure I can actually cobble a team together this week. I think I've hit the wide receiver is on IR and number 1 wide receiver is listed as doubtful. So I'm in that position of, I guess I better pick up some garbage off the waiver wire, shall I? So good luck to you, sir. Believe me, you won't need it. So before we wrap up the very unlucky for some, mostly me, week 13, I believe the stats mistress, or as she's now known, guest point winner, has been hard at work putting together some of what can only be described as the juiciest stats for your ears and or eyeballs. As the gracious host / co-host I am, I have shared the riches amongst these two gentlemen here before you today, and I'm that generous that I gave you boys more than me, because let's face it, nobody wants to sit and listen to my voice for longer than they have to. I say that though because in the first 3 stats of the week, which I kept for myself, they are absolute whoppers. One takes up half the page on my phone, so strap yourselves in for that. So, brought to the Stats Mistress by Nate Davis of USA Today, and brought to you, lovely people, by the Stats Mistress. This is the 2021 Week 13 NFL stats, and we're starting with the best in the game. The Arizona Cardinals maintain the league's best record, 10-2, while welcoming back quarterback Kyler Murray and wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who teamed up for a 20-yard touchdown in Chicago after both missed 5 weeks with injuries. Murray burned the Bears for 4 scores, 2 passing and 2 rushing, as the Cards remained unbeaten on the road. It's pretty good. Obviously. Number 2. Have a day, TJ Watt. The All-Pro pass rusher and league's highest paid defensive player affirmed his bona fide by notching 3.5 sacks of Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson in the Pittsburgh Steelers' 2019 escape from Baltimore. Watt, who's missed 2 games with injuries and spent last week on the reserve/COVID-19 list, has an NFL high 16 sacks in just 10 games. He's on pace to collect 24, which would break Hall of Famer Michael Strahan's single season record, 22.5, set in 2001. Baltimore's setback knocked the Ravens out of first place in the AFC and catapulted the New England Patriots, who also beat the Bills on Monday, into the top spot. How wonderful that is to hear. I saw a thing the other day. This was back to back, and I was like, so the first one was, I think we can all agree, number 1 MVP candidate for this year has to be Mac Jones, and that was swiftly followed by his stats for the game, where he passed for 19 yards and completed 2 of 3 passes. I think we were trying to work out if he was actually not on the field for the game. Anywho, third, and for me, final stat is this. The Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was drafted after Cincinnati's Joe Burrow and Miami's Tua Tagovailoa in 2020. But pretty hard to imagine Herbert wouldn't displace Burrow as number 1 overall in a redraft scenario. Herbert, 317 yards and 3 passing touchdowns, thoroughly outplayed Burrow, who had 3 turnovers, in their first professional meeting Sunday as the Bolts whacked the Bengals 41-22, overtaking Cincy in the AFC wild card standings. Interesting. That's all the stats I've got. I believe it might be our glamorous co-host to pick up the next set of stats.
Oh, hello. So, following on from Mr. Cook's stats, we start with who's the hottest team in the NFC? Would you guess the Washington football team? Winners of 4 in a row and new owners of the conference's 2nd wildcard position. Possibly the greatest stat that's ever been created. Next, a fresh reminder that Philadelphia quarterback Gardner Minshew II is more than a serviceable backup. He got the Eagles back into the win column by picking apart the New York Jets with 20 completions on 25 throws for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now that Philly fans have gotten a good look at what he can do, don't be surprised if some defect from injured starter Jalen Hurts' camp. The Miami Dolphins are the 4th team in NFL history to win 5 in a row after starting a season with a 1-7 record. They'll reach 500 if they can beat the Jets on the other side of a Week 14 bye. In addition, wide receiver Jalen Waddle's 86 catches are already the most ever for a Dolphins rookie. And finally, for me, excuse me, TB12, for those that are aware, that will be Thomas Brady, number 12, is up to a league best 34 touchdown passes after lofting 4 in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' 30-17 win in Atlanta. Brady found long-time teammate Rob Gronkowski 2 scores, Gronk's 24th game with multiple touchdown grabs. You'll be surprised to hear that's the most among tight ends in the Super Bowl era. It also marked the first time Brady has 6 games in one season with at least 4 touchdown passes. That is ridiculous.
Before we go on, I just wanted to mention a meme I saw the other day which made me chuckle somewhat. It was a picture of Tom Brady and Matt Ryan doing that hug that they do at the end of the game, and there was 2 speech bubbles. Above Matt Ryan it said, "The Super Bowl still haunts me to this day," and above Tom Brady it said, "Okay, cool. Who are you again?" And that's kept me laughing for a while.
Wow. So cold. So cold.
Is it funny because it's true?
Who's to say? Who is to say?
Matt, I believe you are going to complete the stats for this week.
So, not only did the Colts blank the Texans 31-0 on Sunday, they swept Houston by a collective 62-3 this season. Indianapolis limited its AFC foe to 2.8 yards per play. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor scored twice, giving him at least 1 rushing touchdown in 10 consecutive games. His 18 touchdowns are the most in the NFL in 2021. It's a shame their weird rules for MVPs will not get him the MVP, even though he probably deserves it. Just a side note. It's safe to engrave Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons as Defensive Rookie of the Year, but with 10 sacks, a team rookie record, 72 tackles, and a league best 16 tackles for loss following Thursday's win. What may be the only superior defensive player of the year candidate to Parsons. Going to the Saints now. Give Saints QB Taysom Hill credit for toughness as he played through a finger injury to his passing hand, similar to the one that sidelined Seattle's Russell Wilson this season. But Hill became the first player in 45 years to rush for 100 yards while serving up at least 4 interceptions. And finally, a hearty congratulations to the Detroit Lions, who've been celebrating, this, who won their first game in 364 days while avoiding a winless 2021 season by toppling the Minnesota Vikings 29-27 on the game's final play, an 11-yard Jared Goff touchdown pass to rookie Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I know that Paul certainly had nothing to say about the Vikings-Lions game. It was all quiet on the Western Front on Sunday. No passing comments about how Kirk Cousins is potentially the worst quarterback the NFL's ever seen.
I wouldn't go that far. He's just definitely not worth his fully guaranteed contract.
He's it is that kind of Matt Ryan, that kind of middle of the road quarterback that's going to kind of get you to the point where you think, maybe we're going to win this one, and then broken your heart. There it is, and definitely don't put them in some kind of accumulator and on Sunday.
Yeah, that is true. One thing that I was surprised at when I looked at it, his stats for the season, he's only thrown 3 interceptions all season.
He barely throws it any distance. He's
a very conservative quarterback, let's put it that way. He's taken the mantle off of Teddy Bridgewater, let's put it that way.
I'm going to assume that he plays his football how he lives his life, and possibly his politics as well, very conservative. How on earth do you manage to go from Stephon Diggs, who was eternally furious with him, to to the point of getting traded out of Minnesota, to now Justin Jefferson, who's a second-year player who looks eternally furious with him. It's just like wide receivers are like, well, I'll just F this guy because it's just never coming my way for anything interesting at all.
Yeah, it was. I was quietly happy to see the Lions go completely winless this season. It was weird. I was actually disappointed that they got the win. I was like, I think it would have been more interesting if you'd have gone completely winless. But yes, congratulations to the Detroit Lions for getting a win. It could be their last of the season. So that is the unluckiest week of the season done and dusted. Week 13 is done. That can only mean one thing. It's time to start week 14. And I know for a fact that I sent my picks over to the co-host to put in the book. And I believe I may have also seen that Matt also sent picks to be put in the book. So it's now the task of the co-host to pick out the juiciest games or what could be the weirdest selections.
You're absolutely correct, Andrew. So again, we're at a point of the season where there's 14 games on show. This is the last of the byes, I believe.
Believe so.
So we've got the Colts, the Patriots, the Dolphins and the Eagles all on a bye. So therefore that leaves us with 14 games, as we've said. We open up the week with the Thursday Night Football, where, funny enough, we've just been mentioning them, the Minnesota Vikings will welcome the Pittsburgh Steelers into town to take them on. Now, even though we've just been slagging them off, we've all picked the Vikings to get the win here.
Hey.
I don't know if it's just one of those games where the Vikings are at home. It's in a sort of a prime time slot. The Steelers didn't look great against the Ravens. I think it was more the Ravens just threw that game away. Obviously, they had the touchdown right at the end and then chose to go for the 2-point conversion rather than kick the extra point and take it potentially to overtime, which in hindsight was just a baffling decision. But yeah, I get the feeling this is a get right game for the Vikings. For me personally, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I'd agree with everything there. I think the Steelers have been another one of those teams that have got something fundamentally wrong with them and have had for basically the whole season. I think we've got the issue at quarterback, as I mentioned every single week. Yes, the Vikings just can't seem to get out of their own way in weird situations. But I think, like you say, they're at home. They had that just bonkers defeat, which was a lot of what is going on in this game. It's now time to take on a team that's not doing so well, and maybe get a win there.
That was my thinking behind. I thought I might have gone a different way to you guys. I was kind of putting Vikings all around.
Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens travelling to Cleveland to take on the Browns in a reverse of the fixture from 2 weeks ago. Obviously, the Browns had the bye last week. Andy and Matt have both gone for the Ravens to bounce back. But obviously, I've had to back the Brownies, haven't I? I've had to go for it. I think this is a kind of a must not lose for the Browns, really. If they've got any hope of getting into the postseason, they have to win this one. Next up, we have the Cowboys against the Washington football team. We've all picked the Cowboys. Same in the Jags-Titans game. No shock there. We've all gone for the Titans. Seahawks-Texans. Strange enough, no Texans fans in the crowd. So we've all gone for the Seahawks on that one. What a strange situation. Again, it's the same for the next couple. We've all gone for the Chiefs to take care of the Raiders at home. The Raiders are just going into a bit of a hole, really, haven't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And we've all also gone for the Saints to get it done against the Jets. There's a bit of a difference in opinion on the next one. So it's the Falcons at the Panthers. Both me and Andy have gone for the Panthers to get the win, whereas Matt's gone for the Falcons. Obviously, sees a little something in Matt Ryan that he's been hiding for the last couple of weeks, apparently.
I don't know. This was just the one where both of these teams stink, and I don't know which team I'm going to pick. And
yeah, toss a coin. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's landed on tie. I'll just go for that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that happened.
No. Next up, we've got the Giants going to LA to take on the Chargers, and we've all shockingly gone for the Chargers. Even though they got their first win last week, we've all gone for the Broncos to beat the Lions. We've got the 49ers travelling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Me and Andy have gone for the Bengals, whereas obviously homer pick from Matt, he's gone for the 49ers to get the win. Then we've got game of the week for me. Even though they're in a bit of a slump at the minute, we've got the Bills travelling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Now, both these boys have picked the Buccaneers to win this one. I've gone for the Bills because in a very similar situation to the Browns, I think the Bills kind of need to win this one, or they're potentially in with a shot of not even making the postseason. So I think they'll be on the top of their game for this one, and they'll want to go and they'll want to really put out a performance and stuff like that. So I've gone for the Bills to get the win in that one. We then move to the Sunday Night Football, and we have the Bears travelling to Green Bay to get absolutely dumped on by the Packers. And closing out the week, we have the Monday Night Football, or the Tuesday Morning Football as it's known over here, with the LA Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Andy and Matt have both gone for the Cardinals in this one, obviously not remembering the stat from earlier where the Cardinals' losses this season have all come at home.
It's a fair point.
I mean, I think there's also a stat where I think the last 5 times they've played the Rams have absolutely whooped on them.
Oscar.
But
just in case anybody just a little bit more information, just in case anybody wants to change their pick. Justin Fields has been declared fit for Sunday. Does anybody want to change their mind to the Bears?
Oh yeah. No. Can I keep my pick as it is, please?
I honestly thought Andy was tempted to go there. Oh, could I have the Packers to win by even more, please? I honestly don't think it could matter who's quarterback in the Bears at the minute. They're not a very good team. Nagy's obviously going at the end of the season. Rebuild anyone for next season? But yeah, Rams Cardinals, the last game of the week, and I think the Rams will get the win to make that division a little bit more interesting. But there you have it.
There we go. So week 14 is now in the book. Anybody got any major pressing news from the last week or going into the new week?
I don't know whether you guys covered it last week, but it's kind of NFL related, but not like the absolute mental stuff that's going on with college football at the moment. Just like all the head coaches moving around, and so like the Notre Dame coach is now at LSU. The Oklahoma coach has left Oklahoma to go to USC, and this one is the best one. Is he got USC to buy both of his houses in Oklahoma for $500,000 over the asking price. He also got them to buy him a house in Southern California, which will not have been cheap. And also, I think he gets free use of the college university helicopter whenever he wants it. So Lincoln Riley,
Riley, getting shit done. What an absolute legend! I must admit, I hadn't thought about it, but I had just like on my Twitter feed, I had noticed quite a lot of sort of pictures of new coaches and stuff like that in the college scene and stuff like that. And yeah,
it's gone. It's mental. It's absolutely mental. Just coaches quitting, coaches leaving. Like LSU, they picked up the Notre Dame coach, but there was rumours at one stage they were willing to pay Mike Tomlin to leave Pittsburgh to go there, and I mean he wasn't interested, but the numbers that have been thrown around are insane. But
it is a strange one, because obviously you would imagine that over here, if you said to Pep Guardiola, would you want to come and coach the Oxford University football team? He'd tell you to go and go do one. Whereas over there, in some sort of guises, some people would look at the head coach position at a college football team as more important than that of an NFL team, because obviously you've got a turnover of players that's much faster, much quicker.
We think like ESPN have just paid $5 billion to have the SEC games for them, so it's a completely different like thing, isn't it? It's just all of our sport, all of our football is amateur, apart from the top 4 divisions, and it's not certainly not university sport. I mean, it's lucky if you get one man and his dog going by and watching it. Even students don't go and watch their football teams, kind of thing. It's like, all right, where the footballers gone? Oh yeah, they've been such and such there. Ah, right, great. Did you win? No. All right, then let's go out and get drunk together.
Fantastic. Well, there we go. That is that. Another week of fantasy, another week of games predicted, a week of games in the book, and a podcast in the bag. Thank you to Matthew Moore for being this week's guest. Thank you to the glamorous co-host, Mr. Paul Williams. Thank you for listening along, you lovely people. And if you are watching, you can see these lovely faces. We will catch you next time for more Laces Out action. Until then, take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you then. Bye-bye. So there you go. What do you think of that? Big thank you to Matt for joining us and being our guest. Big thanks to you for listening along. Even bigger thanks if you're one of our lovely, lovely subscribers. And if you are a subscriber, you can jump over to the website, cookiecast.com. Secret is that even if you're not a subscriber, you can still go to the website, but we'd like you to subscribe as well. So, Anyway, that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.